Good morning, and welcome to the February 2nd service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Grand Traverse. My name's Dan Tholen. I'm a member of the Sunday Services Committee. Happy to be coordinating the service today. Welcome to everybody online. Happy to have you with us. For those here, I wanted to let you know that typically we have 30 to 40 connections online. Now, some of you are in that group sometimes, and we know people come and go, but I wanted just to remind everybody that the online presence is a very significant part of our congregation. So, today service, today's service we're going to recognize scouting, and as a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout, I earned the rank of Life Scout. That's one level below Eagle. It's way below Eagle, but it's one level below. It's on the scale, and I am a Scout for life. So, welcome to all of you joining today. Before we start, please silence your phones, take out any fidgets, and keep yourself busy that way. Are there any visitors here today? There's no obligation, but if you're comfortable doing so, we invite you to stand and introduce yourself so we can welcome you. Chris will bring a microphone right. Oh, there we go.
Hi, I'm Bert Gregory, and I'm from Palm Springs, California. It's great to be here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Glad you came.
Hi, my name is Susan Foltz, and my neighbor, Barb, brings me. And so I thought maybe I should just say hello to everybody. And I've been in Traverse City for about 10 years, but I came from downstate. So.
Well, welcome, Susan and Barb. Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name's Marty Hayden, and this is my wife, Lori. And we are visiting today, but we'll be moving here in mid-March. We just closed on a condominium, when I gather, haven't met them in person yet, but Lewis and Joy are members here, and we just closed on their condominium yesterday, so we'll be moving in after they move out. And we're currently members of Mount Vernon Unitarian Church in Alexandria, Virginia, which we've been members of for over 30 years.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Well, welcome. Anybody else? Please stay afterwards. We have a social hour, coffee, and a couple goodies, and there's some yellow mugs. Grab a yellow mug, and we'll be sure to introduce ourselves and get to know you better. Thank you for coming. So, today's service is Living the Scout Law. That may be close to many of you, as it is to me. I recited the laws and the oaths at least once a week, probably more, from about age 9 to 14 or 15, which was a long time back then, right, from that age. I think that a lot of Unitarians are like me in that when you're making a recitation, when you're citing something like a pledge, you think about what you're saying. And I know I agreed with most of what I was saying when I do those things, but sometimes I don't. And there's words that we're asked to speak that we might not be fully comfortable speaking. One thing that was, this is always, any kind of recitation I do, as many of you, I'm sure you do this, but one thing I recall from scouting is that there was never anything in the oath or the laws that bothered me. And looking back on it, preparing for this service, I still didn't see anything that really bothered me. But there are some words in there that I know probably bother some people quite a bit. So we're just alerting you about that, I know later in my adolescence, I did a lot of questioning. For example, why would God lead me into temptation? Why? I didn't understand that. And reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, is there really liberty and justice for all? So you really, those kinds of things bothered me. But again, not with the Scout laws or oath. So I'm glad that today we will be looking into that into what's in those oaths. Do we still believe them, or have they become less valuable than they were? In looking back at this 1959 version of the Boy Scout Handbook here, which was my copy, I really didn't find anything in there even still that's offensive, except for the fact that there are no figures illustrated that aren't white males, and almost all boys. But other than that, there was no words that really troubled me, even though it was written in the 50s. So anyway, there's today's service. I hope that this review of the of the scouting laws, with more insight from Reverend Alex, I'm sure. For those of you who are familiar, there's a chance to revisit. For those of you who maybe weren't involved in scouting or aren't familiar, this is a chance to learn. But remember one rule: be prepared. Okay.
All right, everyone, I'm Miriam. This is a song I wrote for my students at Mindful and Musical, some of which I see over here. Hello. So we're all going to be kids at heart right now, okay? And we got a scouting thing. Let's pretend there's a little bonfire, and we're all going to sing together. And I'll tell you I'll tell you what we're doing as we go. Once you get the hang of it, sing along. Let us sing a kinder world into existence. Let us sing a kinder world into existence. Let us dream of what can be. It starts with you and me. Let us build a world where all are loved and free. Loved and free. All right, let us dream a kinder world. Ready? Let us dream a kinder world into existence. Let us dream a kinder world into existence. Let us dream of what can be. It starts with you and me. Let us build a world where all are loved and free. Say loved and free. Loved and free. Let us smile. Can we see some smiles to each other? Let us smile a kinder world into existence. Let us smile a kinder world into existence. Let us dream of what can be. It starts with you and me. Let us build a world where all are loved and free. Say loved and free. Loved and free. All right, I'm going to ask you to hug or high five or wave to somebody, and we'll sing Let Us Hug. Let us hug a kinder world into existence. Woo! Let us hug a kinder world into existence. Kisses are good too. Let us dream of what can be. It starts with you and me. Let us build a world where all are loved and free. Loved and free. Loved and free. Will you stand up with me, everybody? Warm up your bodies. Let's dance. Dance a kinder world into existence. Woo! Let us dance a kinder world into existence. Let us dream of what can be. It starts with you and me. Let us build a world where all are loved and free. Loved and free. Loved and free. Dance party real quick. Come on. Oh, find somebody to give them a high five. High fives for the kinder world. And let's have a seat, everybody. We're gonna breathe now. Let us breathe a kinder world into existence. Take a deep breath. Let us breathe a kinder world into existence. Deep breath in. Let us dream of what can be. It starts with you and me. Let us build a world where all are loved and free. Loved and free. Loved and free. Thank you.
Let's see, can you hear me okay? All right. Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. I'm Reverend Alex, the senior minister of this congregation. I'm your resident Eagle Scout. I know there are a couple of others in the crowd here today. I use he and him pronouns, and welcome to this Scout Sunday, a service where we might celebrate the ways that our values of scouting and Unitarian Universalism really do intersect. I want to say a special note of welcome to any scouts, leaders, and even any former scouts who might be with us here today. I see some were brave enough to even wear some uniforms. Would you please rise if you were at one point a scout, are currently a scout, or are a scouter, so we can celebrate you? What we say in scouting, quite surprising to see just how many of us are here. Once a scout, always a scout, is what we say in scouting. And so we're grateful that all of you are here with us today to celebrate. So as we settle into our scouting service, I invite you to hear this poem by Vicki Struckman titled, Scouting Our Hearts. I will do more than just care. I will help. I will do more than just belong. I will participate. I will do more than just believe. I will practice. I will be more than just fair. I will be kind. I will do more than just dream. I will work. I will do more than just teach. I will inspire. I will do more than just earn. I will enrich. And I will do more than just give. I will serve. So come, let us worship together on this Scout Sunday this morning.
We join other UU congregations around the world by lighting a chalice to mark the sacredness of the time that we're about to share. Today we'll mark this by reading our covenant statement printed on the back of the order of service. Okay? You'll find it on the back page there, under the covenant. I'm accountable for me. You're accountable for you. In community, we hold each other through joy and conflict. We openly welcome all as we respond to the needs of the world. Now listen to the throbbing of the singing bowl as it fades into silence and brings our attention into this moment. And now our opening hymn, number 131 in the gray hymnal.
Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us, found in your gray hymnal.
morning. Sorry, I had to go grab a prop. If any of my young folks are here and want to come forward. Hi. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi. I'm so sorry. All right. Good morning. How is everybody this morning? Are we good? Hi. Good morning. Your brother's sick? I'm so sorry to hear your brother's sick. How are we doing this morning? How are we feeling? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Tired? I'm tired this morning too. I hear that.
I actually forgot that.
You forgot that today was Sunday and that you were coming to church today? That's okay. You know, we all have those Sundays. That is okay. All right, so I have a little quick game that I want us to play, a little illustration that I want us to do. So can we all stand up? And I'm gonna make a circle on the ground with this rope. Can you scooch back a little bit for me? I would never tie you up. You're not like robbers. I'm not. All right, scooch back a little bit for me. I'm not gonna tie you up. Goodness, that's against the rules. I'm not allowed to do that. All right, so I made us kind of a circle. Can we all try to fit inside this circle? Let's see, do we all fit in here? That's not too hard. We can scooch in a little bit if we need to. Yeah. All right, step out. Step out. Now, what if I make the circle smaller? Do we think we can all still fit in there if we make the circle smaller? I don't know, this might get tricky. Oh man, all right, I think we did it. All right, step out again. Are we all in? All right, what if I make it even smaller? Can we all fit in there?
No.
We can't? Can we make us all fit in there? Can we find a way? We might have to get really close together. Okay, all right. Do it. We can do it. All right, we did it. All right. Well, I'm stuck on Ellie's. All right. Now let's make it the smallest we can make it. Oh man, this is gonna be tricky. All right, let's get creative. How do we make this circle? How do we make everybody fit? Even the grown-ups. Oh man, all right, I like this idea. All right, tiptoes. All right, can I scoop somebody? Here, who feels comfy with me scooping them up? Can I scoop you up? Okay, all right, here. If I scoop you up, all right, if we hold each other up, okay, I think we all fit. All right. Oh my goodness, that was tricky. No, not even smaller. I don't know if we can do it if we make it even smaller. All right, have a seat, friends. Have a seat.
As small as choke my neck.
No, that would be way too small. Oh, that was tricky. When we made our circle smaller and smaller, it got harder to include people, didn't it? So, let's see, what do we think? If we, in our regular day-to-day lives, if we think about the circles that we're in. So we have our circles, if we go to school, we have circles at school. Or we have circles in our family, those are very small. And then if we go to school, if we go to church, if we go to our library groups or out in the community. So we have all these different circles that we're a part of. And we want those circles to be inclusive. So it gets harder and harder when your circle is so small to include people. So it's good to expand out your circle. But what about, so today we're talking about scouting. Is anybody here in Scouts? Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any kind of Scouts? No? Some of the grown-ups are in Scouts. So in Scouts, there is what they call the law. How do we feel about laws and rules? Kind of in the middle, right? Depends on the law, depends on the rule, right? So what about when laws don't include people? What do we do when the laws are not inclusive? When the laws get smaller and smaller and smaller, include less and less people. Can anybody think of an example of a law or a rule that might not include all the people? And then it makes the circle shrink smaller and smaller and smaller. Anybody think of an example? It doesn't have to be a current rule or a law. It can be an old rule or a law that people have fought against. Anybody have an example? No wars. So no wars would be a law that we would want to fight for, because wars are definitely not be. Yeah, they'll be killed and they'll be hurt, and that would be very bad. What about if there is a law that says people of only a certain skin color? So if you go to the playground, and the playground says white kids only.
Like when Martin Luther King Jr. was alive.
Right, when Martin Luther King Jr. was alive, There were very, very real places that said only white kids, only people of color, and they separated them, right? Was that fair? No. Was that right? No. What did they do about it? What did people do about that? We've talked about Martin Luther King a little bit, right? We've talked about the civil rights movement. What are some examples of what people did to fight against that? Do we remember? They've marched. Grown-ups, help them out. This is time for all ages. They resist, they protest, right? And they say those laws are not fair. We don't want to live by that law because that law is not fair. What about a law that says only a man and a woman can get married? Is that fair? No, it's not fair if only a man and a woman can get married. Because what if two women want to get married? Or what if two men? Or what if somebody isn't a man or a woman and is somewhere in the middle, right? What if somebody is non-binary? That's a word that we've talked about a little bit sometimes. Then what do those people do? So what do we do when the rules aren't fair? We fight, we resist. And what do we do? What does that do to our circle? So our circle got smaller and smaller and smaller, and we had to make it bigger. But when our circle was really small, what did we do on that last circle? We lifted people up. So when the rules are not fair, when the laws are not fair, sometimes we have to lift people up to include them. So sometimes it may be that the rule is not fair, that the law is not fair. And we can't do anything today, right now, to change that law. But what we can do is we can be in community and we can lift each other up. And we can say, I know this rule is not fair, but I don't believe that is true. I don't believe that is okay, and I want you to feel included. So I think that's our job right now. If we have laws or rules that are not inclusive of everybody, we say, we don't agree with this law, come and join us, come and be in our community, come and be in our circle, and we will lift you up. We will hold on to you so we don't all topple over like we did in our teeny tiny circle almost. We will hold on to each other, and we will hold each other close in community, right? That is what we do when the laws are not fair. So can we practice that together? Can we be the people who include everybody even when the circle is small? Is that something that we can do? And then we can work together to keep making our circles bigger and bigger to make everybody feel included. How does that feel? Does that feel good? All right, we've got a quiet group this morning. That's okay. All right, so let's keep making our circles bigger, and let's sing our song before we head down to Sunday school.
We are children of the stars, we are children of the earth, we are spinners and weavers in this web of life, and the joy that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are children of tomorrow, we are children of our dreams, we are planners and builders in this web of life, and the future that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being.
We've come to another part in our service that's closely in line with Scouting. Girl Scouts promise to use resources wisely and make the world a better place. Boy Scouts promise to be thrifty, but also to help other people at all times. I can assure you that, as a congregation, we are a good investment. We promise to be thrifty and to use our resources wisely, so please feed the blue side of the basket. We also promise to help other people and try our best to make the world a better place. So we have the red side of the basket also for our community needs. Please remember, do a good turn daily, especially right now.
Good morning, folks. I'm Linda Fletcher, and I'm a member of the Congregational Care Team, and I want to provide a message from our group that addresses our deep joys and concerns. But right now, it is our, I'm sorry, I'm not good at reading stuff, but if you have a joy or a concern that's a bit too heavy to share, I invite you out to reach out to Reverend Alex or the Congregational Care Team. The Congregational Care Team is a very important part of this community, I wear this stole so that you'll be able to recognize. Okay, so this book contains the joys that our people have cared to share with us. If you have a joy or concern that is too raw or tender to communicate, we invite you to hold us in your heart, and we will hold you in loving community. Remember this, none of us is meant to travel life's journey alone. And so now, dear ones, here is what has been shared with this gathered community. Thinking of Barb Blaird, who is recovering nicely from her end of summer bizarre boat accident and is now facing unrelated need for shoulder replacement for February the 18th. She won't be able to drive for 6 weeks afterward, but will be watching from home. Jan Serple. Two joys from Ken and Judy Weaver. First one is our daughter, Leslie, was married to Annalee Kanan in January the 25th in Oakland, California. Congratulations. Hearing news of U.S. Senator Elisa Slotkin speak yesterday, hearing new U.S. Senator Elisa Slotkin speak yesterday about what we can do for social justice, to wit, don't flail in anger at everything wrong. Work consistently at one thing which matters to you. Kristen Burren. Next one is thinking of my remarkable and loving father-in-law, Ed Burren, who is nearing the end of his life here on earth. I'm wishing him comfort, peace, and even joy as he says goodbye to his children and grandchildren and reflects on his blessed and impactful life. And next one is, our beloved friend Pat Nestor died this week, a wonderful outdoorsman and ping pong player. He will be greatly missed by many in TC. Heather Shoemaker. We have another one here from It's a Concern, and it's from Emilu Cholak. Black History, February 1st, 24. Guess is that correct, Emily? Is it 25 or 24? It applies, irrespective, correct? All right, here we go. I hear rhetoric which feels very ugly to my ears. I do not want to hear others put down or take advantage of. I believe in the equality of all persons, that we all deserve respect and opportunity in our country. That is our dedication to ourselves and to each other. The integrity and love inherent within each of us needs fostering and education so we can all benefit from what our country offers. Do not disgrace, offers everyone according to their own needs and ability. We do not disgrace one another or blame another, especially when we know nothing about the situation. And certainly, we don't blame, be degrading in public. We treat all with respect and the potential to love and enjoy the gifts we offer each other with integrity, period. February is Black History Month, and no decree by someone pretending to be a leader can decrease or demise the many virtues and gifts of our Black and other peoples of color that have given this nation. We here at this congregation, I'm sure, join in wishing all peoples in this vast country with our deepest respect and acceptance the opportunity to come to their fullest expression of themselves. Thank you for your wisdom. Okay, so now what we need to do is hold a moment of silence for all of those things which we have not addressed specifically, have not articulated. Thank you. I will be at the coffee hour, and I'm wearing this stole, and the message here is please come to me if I can be of assistance. That's what the Congregational Care Committee does. So I'll be there. Hope to see you. Thank you.
I ask that you join in a spirit of prayer as we pray 3 prayers from the Girl Scouts of the United States, 3 traditions, Muslim Scouts prayer, a Buddhist Scouts prayer, and a General Scouts prayer. And so find your center as we pray these prayers. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, look with compassion on the whole human family. Remove from us the arrogance, divisions, and hatred that have infected our hearts. Break down the walls that separate us, reunite us in bonds of love, and guide us as we work through our struggle and confusion to accomplish your purposes on earth. That in good time, all nations and races may jointly serve one another in justice, peace, and harmony. Amen. As a Buddhist scout, I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. May all beings be happy and joyous. May they live without fear. Understanding interdependence and compassion, I know that what I do now affects my happiness or unhappiness, and also that of others. May all existence, human and others, whether weak or strong, small or great, near or far, and throughout time, all attain perfect peace. Spirit of life, help us to be good scouts, one whom the world can trust. Help us to respect our neighbor's rights and never be unjust. Help us as scouts, as current scouts or scouts in spirit, to be proud of the uniforms we wear across our lives. Help us to be clean in thought, word, and deed. Help us to love all people of the world, and then to serve them too. Help our actions to count in everything we do. Spirit of life, help give us strength to carry on and do our part each day. Make us what we ought to be. Help us live for others, O great troop leader of us all. Blessed be. Let us join now in singing our song of response, Spirit of Life.
Stirrings
Our readings this morning are familiar pieces to many of us who were scouts. Oaths, promises, and laws that scouts repeat throughout their time in scouting. As you hear these words, I invite you to listen for and sit with any words or phrases that are challenging or bring you discomfort. You can join me if you know these, if you know the oaths. From the Girl Scouts of America, the Girl Scout Promise. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. The Girl Scout law, I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. From Scouting America, formerly the Boy Scouts of America, the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And the 12 points of the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, reverent.
How many of us have ever made a promise before? This might be a pinky promise, a promise you made to a friend or sibling, maybe even a spouse or a loved one. And then for those of you that raised your hand, how many of you have ever sworn an oath of any kind? I should see all my scouters raising hands. Oaths and promises are serious things that we make, sometimes not fully knowing what will happen or where the journey will lead. When I became a scout in my freshman year of high school, I remember feeling a sense of gravity around memorizing and learning the Scout Oath and Law. This felt like a solemn promise I was making, not just to myself, but to my fellow scouts and also others around the world. Quite a hefty commitment for a ninth grader in high school. Knowing many once or former scouts today, I know all of us can still recite the Scout Oath and Law, and have even seen how internalizing these words have helped shaped us and even brought out a bigger impact in our lives. Recently, I was talking with someone about ways of organizing a team here at UUCGT, organizing a team into smaller groups to help broaden out the leadership. And this person I was talking with rightfully observed how, in truth, I was simply just replicating scouting's patrol method, splitting into smaller groups to make decisions and organize. I then quipped that scouting had clearly once and forever warped my thinking for good, though I think there's more truth to that than not. In entering into these promises and internalizing the Scout Oath and Law, I remember some things that gave me pause. Some words and phrases in these promises that I wasn't sure I could fully live into or that I even fully believed. I think many of us who were once scouts likely felt pause around some of these same words or phrases. To be obedient and to always respect authority. To be trustworthy, loyal, and helpful, and to help other people at all times. To be reverent in our service and our duty to God. I remember feeling a tension with these aspirations, wondering if I could truly live into these promises. Firstly, is it always right that we obey and respect authority? Might there be times when disobedience might be the just and moral thing to do? Likewise, are we truly to be of service to others at all times? Are there times when taking care of myself and what I need might be more important than helping others? Does this open us up to any unhealthy dynamics of being available 24/7, teaching our scouts to even neglect their own needs for the sake of others? And lastly, does reverence for life and living a just and moral life require a belief in God? What if I don't believe in God? Is there some other ultimate higher or greater authority that my conscience can affirm? I bet a few of you can already guess some of my answers to these questions. You can see that this is quite murky territory in making big, broad blanket promises. And so in the Soul Matters month of inclusion, I want to make the case that a Scout's oath and promises must be broad enough and deep enough to include this complexity in moral and ethical thinking. While some paradigms within Scouting would see these oaths and laws as promises and fundamental statements that one can never transgress, I want to shift the paradigm to be less about the letter of the law and more about the spirit of the law. I think you've probably heard that before. Rather than requiring one's unfailing loyalty and devotion, I believe these words and statements need to be a living and embodied thing within us, rather than just simple statements we memorize and then swear to uphold. Ultimately, I believe Scouting is about teaching all of us to develop an inner compass and conscience to guide us throughout our lives. So that's what I'll be arguing today as we delve into the subtleties behind each of these three major areas that have been challenging for many. I'm taking a rather Unitarian Universalist approach to these statements and guiding doctrines of Scouting, but one that I believe produces stronger understandings and moral outcomes for the country and world that we have today. Last year, for our first ever Scout Sunday, I preached about some of the historic disconnects between Unitarian Universalism and Scouting, especially around the inclusion of LGBTQ+ Scouts and Scout leaders, as well as atheist Scouts, agnostic Scouts, and Scouts who are non-religious in the program. I told you my own story of traversing two very rich and meaningful guiding traditions, Scouting and Unitarian Universalism, and how truly these share more in common with their values than one might suspect. In our country and world today, we are in some serious need of spiritual, ethical, and moral development. Amen, right? Not in the traditional sense that many churches and organizations will give you via rote creeds and doctrines. We're in a country and a world that sorely needs deep and critical thinkers, that needs people who can turn toward moral complexity rather than simple and half-baked solutions. Compassionate people who welcome diversity and difference and who have respect for every human being, no matter who they are or where they are born on this planet. We're in need of people of conscience and also people of faith, faith in who they are and what they have to offer the world, people who lift others up rather than tearing others down. Those are the kinds of people this world sorely needs more of. So as we explore these three tensions together, I want you to think about our youth, our Scouts and future leaders who will be leading the way for us in all of the places that Scouting continues to shape the world. Scouting continues to be a worldwide movement for good, and I believe that that good is best served when each of us has a homegrown conscience to guide us along the way. So the first of these three tensions to unpack. A Scout is obedient. In the words of the Girl Scout law, to respect authority. I know the word obedient has been a sticking point for many of us going through Scouting's programs. It calls to mind images of unquestioning loyalty and doing what we're told, whatever might be asked of us. To the contrary, I think there are absolutely times when a Scout might actually need to be disobedient. That is, times when we need to disobey what is asked of us, when it is wrong or unjust. Throughout our lives, we witness systems and structures that are based on this baseline, shallow understanding of obedience. Truly, obedience isn't always easy, especially when we're asked to obey something we think is wrong or unjust. Though it takes true courage to break ranks and go against things when we are the only ones to do so, especially when we're the ones going against authority figures or those who have great power. How many of us have ever been in a position of challenging authority before? It's a pretty uncomfortable place to be. I do believe that to be a good Scout is to be obedient, but in a different sense of what that means. Rather than unquestioning loyalty, I believe obedience is about obeying one's inner conscience, of being accountable and obedient to oneself and what someone believes is right or just. Rather than discouraging disobedience, accountable leadership models should encourage it. That is partly the rationale behind our own military that provisions that service members only have a duty to obey lawful orders, that they should even disobey unlawful ones. Yet obeying what is legal is not the metric of what is moral. Going back just a few decades to the civil rights movement, obeying what was legal then would be participating in the laws of Jim Crow and the doctrine of separate but equal. Legal for sure, but not moral. Disobedience in whatever system or structure often comes at a cost. The system themselves seem keen on purging those from their ranks that will not go along with them. And we're seeing this all too much right now on our national scene. So a scout is obedient, not to authority, but to self, to one's conscience and what they know is right and just. But in promising this obedience, scouts and all of us need to know that this obedience may come at a cost, a very worthy cost. Next, I want to unpack the idea of helping other people at all times. This was one of the messages from scouting that has stayed with me and has even had the greatest impact on me in how I see myself in service to others. It's also one of the more problematic ones in terms of messaging that it gives us around taking care of others' needs over our own. How many of you are familiar with the Enneagram? Any of you? All right, don't worry if you're not familiar with that, and if you're curious about that, I can nerd out way too much about this, truthfully. So the Enneagram is a personality test that attempts to describe what it is that motivates you, the underlying need or soul wound that gives your life its drive. For me, I'm the classic helper type, so that's a type number 2 for those of you that are familiar with all the different 9 types. That means that if left unchecked, I'll try too much to get my sense of meaning and self-worth out of helping and taking care of others. That I'll do this to the point of ignoring my own needs, maybe even fostering resentment over my needs that aren't being met. As a scout, I really took these words to heart and endeavored to do just as they say, to help other people at all times. Staying up late to text with friends about their problems, losing sleep. Saying yes to everything that was asked of me, even if I was stressed or worried that I didn't have the time. Feeling guilty or selfish about doing things for myself. How many of us have been here before? I know I'm not the only one. For me, it took a long time to learning some hard truths about helping others and having strong boundaries. It took me realizing that my sense of self-worth should be more than the meaning I get in helping others. That I myself have inherent worth and dignity just as much as any other person I would so readily jump to help. And so over time, I've been able to reframe this promise to be healthier and more realistic than it reads at face value. The deepest truth that I've learned that all of us have heard a version of before is that you can't pour from an empty cup. Said another way, you need to fill your own cup in order to fill the cups of others. So helping people at all times is an admirable goal, but what might not be apparent is the necessity of ensuring that you have what you need in order to be the best version of yourself so that you can then go and help others. Helping other people at all times is not sustainable. As human beings, we all need opportunities for rest, for rejuvenation, and sometimes simply just being off. While we might hope to be available for others at all times, I think a healthier boundary is to help other people in all the times we can. Trusting that we can draw healthy boundaries around our time and our energy, and that others will even be given the permission by our doing this to do the same. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Lastly, let's turn to the promise that is a deal breaker for many of us, the duty to God. I want to applaud the Girl Scouts of America in their inclusiveness around this category for scouts. Next to the provision in the Girl Scout promise is a big asterisk that says, members may substitute for the word God in accordance with their own spiritual beliefs. Pretty darn awesome. There's no such provision in Scouting America's Oath. In fact, the inclusion of atheist, agnostic, and non-religious scouts is still an issue in some troops and regions. In many troops that are sponsored by churches or religious organizations, a duty to God is perhaps seen as the default. For myself and for many other Unitarian Universalist scouts, this felt like a complicated promise to make, especially when I wasn't raised with any type of traditional religion or church. I want to argue that duty to God and a scout's reverence can be much broader than requiring a belief in a deity. Instead, I believe that the spirit of this law is in serving something higher and greater than yourself. That's what the spirit of scouting is all about, being a part of something larger than yourself and joining with others to make this world a better place. You've heard me say this already, but morality itself does not come from religion. Religion may be a codified system of values and rules, but many times over, we've witnessed ways that religion has either gotten it wrong or even greatly fallen short. Scouts need not pick a religion nor hold a belief in God in order to do good in the world. Instead, all that might be required is knowing what ultimately a scout is accountable to. For some, it could be God. And for others, it might be science or the greater good of all. A scout has a duty to that which is greater, and determining what that greater thing is a lifelong journey. A scout is reverent every time they show up and serve something greater than themselves. Your belief in God is not required. Well, now that I'm done preaching all that fresh scouting heresy, where does that leave us? To close, I invite you to journey with these three larger commitments and to see where you align with obedience, helping others, and serving something greater than yourself. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual selves are best served when we are active and living a journey with life and faith. If you were once a scout or you know of scouters in your own life, I also invite you to join in the conversation with them. We're all made better when we're invited to think for ourselves and to know what is right and just by what is already written on our hearts. So go out, dear scouters, to live the law. Some assembly just might be required. Amen. Let's join now for a moment of stillness together. Now is everybody's favorite time in the service to do some quick announcements. We're getting a feel for putting announcements here in our service rather than right at the edge of our service, right before we're about to go. Some folks have been feeling like we've been running out of a little bit of steam. So I just have a couple of quick announcements to make. The first, that the auction is underway itself and that bidding is open for our online auction this year. And don't forget that we have some dollar-for-dollar matching going on for up to $5,000 this year. And what that means is that for every dollar you spend in our auction, that actually equates to $3 that will be generated from that. So, it's a very generous amount that we're really encouraging you to participate in to help us reach our goal. So anyway, bidding is open, and I believe do we have some, are we waiting on that, or? We have some. So we have some items that are actually on some tables out there to view. Yeah, so Brian Beamer is your best bet if you're interested in looking at this, and he's prepared some pictures and other items that you can kind of peruse through. I have an announcement also to come to the Show Up for Good Trouble Summit. This is a social justice activation workshop that we're having here, Saturday, February 22nd, 9 a.m. to noon here at UUCGT. So if you're interested in getting involved with this, I really encourage you to show up and be a part of it. All right, now let us sing our closing hymn together.
Would you rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1014, Answering the Call of Love, found in your teal hymnal.
Hope and love abide, and so every
please remain standing. If you feel comfortable, join hands, or we have this motion for if you don't want to hold hands. And we will release the flames. May the light of this chalice and the lessons of this service stay alive in our hearts, just as the light of scouting continued to burn as core principles, guiding scouts to lives of integrity and service to others. Thank you.
And in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, and in the spirit of scouting, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace, pass a little squeeze or an air 5, and happy Sunday.